In this video, guys, we shall be taking a look at the 2006 DreamWorks animated movie, Flushed Away. So without further ado, let's get into today's review. Let's get into it. So I thought then that this 2006 animated movie was brilliant. I think it is one of my personal favourites. I really enjoy this movie because it uses a different type of animation that DreamWorks is used to using, as it normally uses just a standard box standard version that we see in Shrek, Kung Fu Panda, and that we also see in like a B movie. Let's use them as for example. This is the very first that uses a Aardman animated production, in which was great to see. It was different, it felt unique, and I think the only other time it's been used since was Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, and those two were quite special because this was the time when DreamWorks was experimenting with different animation techniques like we see with these two films. And yeah, I really like it. I think it's not just that. I think it's got great actors in there, great cast. It's got everything that you need to make a great animated movie. It's exciting. I think it's got a great story. And I think a lot of this boils down to the upper class and lower class that we see straight off the bat in this movie, where Roddy lives in this big mansion, inside a mansion, as he is a pet, basically, in a posh estate in London. And he gets flushed down the toilet and then meets Rita, who is the complete opposite to what he was. He had everything was gotten for him. He didn't have to go and look for his own food, earn his own money, that sort of thing. He was living in a palace practically, whereas with Rita, it's the complete opposite. She's been living in the sewers for all her life, and their families had to work for everything. They've had to earn everything, and they're living like a slum, a chalet, somewhere where it's not brilliant. It's not the idealist place to live, but they've got to live there because it's the best for them than what they can afford. And I thought that was really cool, and it was interesting how these two would get along, and they got on like you thought. They didn't at first. They hated each other because not only did Roddy spoil the plans for Toad and Rita's sort of already set enemies between them, he made it 10 times worse by jumping in the mix and causing enemies with Rita straight off the bat. And he tried to stab her in the back to get what he wanted, and obviously that was never going to work. But then throughout the movie they gain a character relationship between each other, where they get to know each other, they see what each other likes, and as the journey progresses along, trying to return Roddy back up to the top, as they refer it back up to the city of London, the actual city of London, not the sewer version of London, it's like an interesting journey of finding the connection between the two, and they eventually get a good connection going. They work together, and that weren't at the start of the movie, which shows the lower class upper class thing of looking, because it was almost Roddy was looking down on Rita rather than looking side by side and going, we're gonna get along fine. All this sort of looking down on her that she didn't really appreciate. And I thought it was great how the two end up making up for that later down the line, and she helps Roddy to get back up to the top. And then I think from there it's quite interesting, because not only did Roddy not need to go back down and save Rita, he was like, I couldn't give a fuck whether I stay up here and not help you with your family problems. I'm going to give you some rubies, diamonds and stuff, these things, because he destroyed one of her, what she thought was a real ruby, and when he destroyed it, he proved that it was glass, because a real ruby wouldn't smash in that fashion. And it was great then he gave her the stuff that she, because that was sort of like the incentive of coming on the trip, giving her these gems as such, so that she could provide for her family a little bit better, in which was quite cool. And obviously he had a choice to make, because he could have stayed there, or he could have gone with her back down to the city to help out, because he obviously knew that the Toad was going to go back after her, and that's what happened. And he decides to stay there. The friendship's sort of broken. You don't think it's going to happen, and then Roddy changes his mind after realising she is in terrible danger, and obviously goes and helps, in which was a great relationship all the way throughout. And then after defeating the villain, they end up being down there together, in which was just completely different to what we have seen before. Moving on then, I really enjoyed the Toad as a villain. I think he was a threat, but mainly used his manpower as the main threat. He used Spike and Whitey as his main henchmen, and I feel that at times he hid behind them, and along with Frog and a few of his other friends, he hid behind those to help protect him and his image of sort of going, you deal with it, you deal, like a king almost, in which showed that he was powerful because he could demand anything off anyone. If not, you're going to go into this massive fridge and you're going to be frozen, or you're going to get killed and wiped off the face of the earth, basically. And yeah, it was quite interesting. That I think he was a good villain. On Spike and Whitey, I feel that they made a good comedy duo, in my opinion. I think they were good. I think they did their job livening up parts that were a bit down or needed a bit of lightening up a little bit when being chased, and then them two prattling around a little bit. And I thought those little sly digs at each other was brilliant. It showed they were never on the same page when it comes to tracking down Rita, tracking down Roddy, and taking down them. They were not on the same page, but that made it funny. That was a great element in this particular movie. Finally, I thought the actors and actresses were brilliant as we saw the likes of Hugh Jackman, Kate Winslet, Ian McKellen, Reno, Bill Nighy, Andy Serkis, Shane Richie, Kathy Burke, and Miriam Margoyles, in which were all brilliant in this particular movie, made it an underrated classic, and nobody else could have played that role. So to summarise then, I thought that this movie had everything to make it a good animation movie, and a great animation movie. I felt it had the complete package, hence why I rate this movie an 8.1 on classic film. So let me know down in the comments down below what your thoughts are. Is it great? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it terrible? Let me know down in the comments down below, please. Also, we have noticed not enough people have been smashing that subscribe button, so please do that now. Also, hit that like button, hit that notification bell, and I shall see you guys in the next one. Laters.